Once again, as people lead, consider what they're putting on the agenda, right? What they're pushing forward. And so me as a president, I'm putting this on the agenda to discuss the vaccine mandates. For a long time now, people have expressed concern about not being able to volunteer in their kids' school because that's a mandate. Staff were not really comfortable with being pressured, forced, encouraged, whatever. And I still believe people could have got it tested every week. So either way, we're moving forward. We're circling back to this as a discussion. Mr. Kwok?
Oh, thank you. I would like to know what is the governing law on this, whether it's the counties, Department of Public Health, whether it's the state of California, whatever the case may be. That would be edifying to me to actually have an intelligent discussion on this matter. Thank you very much. I yield back.
Mr. Reynolds, yeah. Yes, thank you for the question, Mr. Kwok. Currently, there is no federal mandate or state mandate or county mandate to have a vaccine mandate. Law or resolution or regulation in a school district. With respect to parent volunteers, we don't have that requirement that they must be vaccinated, but we instituted the same regulation that we have for employees, which is to test if they're going to be participating in school events. So that's pretty much what it is. I know there's been people who have come here who have said that they cannot volunteer in their child's school, and that's not the case. So that's pretty much it.
So what are the current vaccine mandates?
There is none.
In our district?
In our district, we currently still have the mandate in place.
Okay, so that's
Yes.
where we're at.
For employees.
Okay, so we're talking about lifting that mandate.
Correct.
Okay, great. And so I think it's time to lift it. Should we ever need to circle back to this, we can circle back. And I would also encourage my team, if we had to circle back, to learn from the errors we made this time around. You know, people can test weekly, but I don't want to talk about potentials. We're just talking about what's in front of us. Mr. Kwok.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So now that it's clear, I didn't really understand this, right? Because it deals with employees. I've two questions. One is, what do our employees say with respect to our collective bargaining units? The other one is that if there's no mandate, right, can the district then implement a mandate? Because right now, what you're saying is that we have a mandate, right? Okay, so I don't want to run afoul of the law, right? Because that would cause all sorts of liability, I believe, unless I'm wrong regarding that. But before, remember, our affirmative defenses, we were just following what the mandate was, right? But now if there's no mandate, is there a situation that if we actually impose a mandate, whether or not we are then subjecting the district to liability? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. So with respect to that, with a mandate, the only thing I would caution the board is that we currently have some legal matters related to the vaccine mandate. And so that's one caveat that I would put out there in consideration. But given that this is just a discussion item, just for us to hear what the board's thoughts are, I think we're still in a safe place. But if there's additional movement to do one thing or the other, I would highly recommend then this being a discussion in closed session.
Mr. De La Torre?
Thank you, Madam President. As we know, there's still cases of COVID. It hasn't gone away. We know. The issue that I have, or I guess the concern I have is, you know, let's say one of our employees does come out positive. I know before they were given certain days. Now it's pretty much, does it come from their sick days? That's my concern, because then employees, are they going to be like, well, you know, as it is, you know, I think I can go to work even though I might be positive. So I don't know, how do we look into that? Because I want to make sure that our employees, you know, obviously they take care of themselves, but at the same time is, you know, it's going to start affecting their sick days.
Yes, thank you for that. And for that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Lovato, who can give the board just an overview of currently what happens when an employee tests positive, and that should help the discussion. Thank you. Dr. Lovato.
Thank you, Dr. Jimenez, and thank you for the question, Mr. De La Torre. And so the guidelines have changed in terms of the amount of time for the quarantine period. So if you guys recall, when the pandemic first started, I believe the quarantine period was like 12 days. And you had to be symptom-free and test negative. Once you tested negative, there was an additional sit-out time. So because of those strict guidelines, that's when the state came forward and offered days, an additional sick days. I believe it was 10 back then. The guidelines have changed a lot recently. I want to say about this time last year, the guidelines were changed and they were shorter. So now you just have to be symptom-free. I believe once you test positive, it's 3 days after the positive test, and then you just have to be symptom-free for 24 hours. And so that's helped in terms of employees not using their sick time. Obviously, if an employee is still infected with the virus, we want them to stay home because then it could impact other employees and students as well. And so, but because of the shorter guidelines now, that's really helped in terms of cutting down the amount of time that employees are out. Mhm.
Yes, Ms. Quinones?
Dr. Lovato, just to be clear, the district pays for the 3 sick days so that people don't have to take it out of their own sick hours?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. No, it does come out of the employee's sick time.
Okay.
The only time that the days were covered was when the state of California had passed that law saying that employers had to cover that period of time.
Thank you for the clarification. And I think I'm just as concerned as you are, Mr. De La Torre, because if somebody has used their sick hours and they get sick with COVID, they're going to come to work and they're gonna make everybody else sick. So I think, for me, I would love to see some kind of an exception, like 3 days for COVID, so that you don't get our other employees sick. Is that something that perhaps we may consider, or?
Really quick, point of order. We're talking about the COVID-19 vaccination mandate, not if we get COVID, the protocols and procedures, which I think it's great if we had a discussion in closed session about that so we could ensure everything's legal. But we're advocating for the vaccine mandate, which by law, we shouldn't have a mandate anymore. So we're actually out of compliance here. Is that correct?
I would say it's not clear cut because a district could always be more restrictive. As you all know, when we were going through the pandemic, the district always reserves a right to be more restrictive than whatever mandate is out there.
Mr. De La Torre, what's going on with LAUSD since everybody loves to follow LAUSD?
Well, I think every district works differently. It's similar to what Dr. Lovato mentioned, but I know it comes out of the teachers sick days. Now, let's say there are some employees
I'm talking about the vaccine mandate. What are the updates over there at LAUSD?
with that. My understanding it's no longer needed, to my understanding.
Okay, so
Yes.
there we go. We have the largest school
Well,
district in the county that no longer requires it to be a mandate. And so when these vaccine mandates came out, we actually preemptively moved before LAUSD and it got us into legal predicaments. And so now that LAUSD has moved in that direction, I don't see why we cannot move in that direction. So discussion, Mr. Kwok?
This just is quick, is that I actually raised the issue about the mandate and what it is, the governing law. I will say that my understanding of the issues that came up before had nothing to do with the mandate. It actually had to do with something else. But regardless, I also am taking the lead from the superintendent and say, hey, there's some other issues here, legal and so forth. So that's why I'm just going to submit to what we've discussed and just go from there. Thank you very much. I yield back.
Yeah, so the parameters of people testing and coming back and compensation, I think it is worth talking about that in closed session. It sounds like it's a concern. But this one specifically is discussing the COVID-19 vaccination mandate for the district, which I think that'll, other districts have already no longer mandated that. I don't see why we can no longer mandate that. If you all have illegal concerns about that, let's go ahead and bring it back to closed session so we confer with the lawyer. Because I and a lot of the community members I represent, we want to move forward with this vaccine mandate already.
So I agree with that. I actually think it should never have come up in a public session. It should have gone just straight to closed. So I withdraw everything that I've said with respect to that and wait until it goes back on closed session. Thank you very much. I yield back.
Okay, so I think we have clear direction. Unless there's anything additional, we're gonna go ahead and move on. Ms. Loera?
Yes, this was brought in very last minute. I haven't had a time to think about it, ask any questions. I know this is a discussion item. However, I don't know what to discuss. I don't have, could have asked for a copy of the mandate. I could have asked for more information, thought about it, looked into it more, but to have this discussion right now, I can't give any direction, any opinion because it's very last minute. So if we could please bring this back for discussion with information so that in the way before the board meeting so that we can have something to discuss because this right here, it just is type discussion, nothing else is with it. It's, for me, this is not enough.
Okay, Dr. Jimenez, did we make sure that we publish this in the proper time per Roberts or per the law that we have to get it out in time?
Thank you, Board President. Yes, we did. It was an addendum and it's still within the 72 hours requirement of posting.
Okay, so I really encourage board members to do their research on these items because you have time and actually the community has time to come up here and ask questions on this item. And so I think currently we have the board majority that we want to bring this item back to closed session. One, to discuss the vaccination mandate, and then another item to discuss, I guess, sick leave that is in correlation with the COVID-19 or whatever strain it is now. So I think we got a unanimous, and so we're gonna go ahead and move forward. We're gonna go on to 7.03 instruction E, approve